Meinie Nicolai is General Director at Doctors Without Borders. She joins us now from Brussels. Good to have you with us. So, given the fact that we actually had reports yesterday of 6 children dying of malnutrition, how concerned are you that we're going to see even more and this will escalate in the coming days?
Absolutely, yeah, especially in the north. I just come back from almost 2 weeks in Gaza, coordinating our efforts that are focused on the south because we don't have access to the north. And it's not safe. It's nowhere safe, as we know. But these reports of malnutrition, especially amongst young children, are very concerning. We need a ceasefire. We need it immediately. We know it. We repeat it to be able to increase humanitarian aid. Airdrops will not solve this. We need a sustained ceasefire to bring in a safe way aid to the people and the medical care as well.
And I understand during your trip there, you actually went to an MSF shelter, I think in Al Mawasi, which was shelled. Tell us what you witnessed.
Yeah, so we used to work in the north in a hospital doing reconstructive surgery. When we were ordered to move south after the 13th of October, we did. All our staff, most of our staff, I should say, left with us, and most of them have lost their houses. So what we have done for our staff with their families, we've rented buildings so that people can be in these buildings, and we have given the coordinates of these buildings, the GPS coordinates, to the Israeli army to tell them clearly, here are humanitarian workers staying with their families. So whilst I was there, and this is on the coastal road, right? So this is the area that should be safest in Gaza, and we know nowhere is safe. During my stay there, tanks moved on the beach road and have fired a shell, a 120 millimeter shell, to the building, killing 2 women and injuring 6 others. So this is what has happened. I've seen the injured in the hospital of the IMC hospital because the Nasser hospital was no longer reachable, so we've had to send the wounded to a field hospital, and the 2 deceased, of course. It's horrible. The staff is terrified, they're traumatized, they live there with young children, and even a notified building with humanitarian families inside is not safe.
Meinie, I'm curious, as I'm sure a lot of viewers will be, to know, when something like that happens, do you speak to Israeli authorities and say, why we've moved to an area you told us is a safe area, we followed your instructions, we're in a residential building, why did you strike a residential building where we are, as well as other civilians, and kill at least 2 women, as you said?
Yes, of course we've asked clarification. The night itself, we have called the Israelis, so we have somebody in Jerusalem that called, you're shooting at a building with humanitarians inside, stop. We have informed the US on this incident, and we've asked for clarification. Up to now, we have not received a report back from the Israelis. They did, in an oral way, acknowledge it was their fire, but the reasons why remain for us still unknown, and we ask clarification. We have asked, what does notification of our buildings mean to you? Because we have to be able to work. And as you know, the number of hospitals that are accessible and functioning is reducing, whereas the number of wounded is increasing.
So you haven't had any explanation as to why your facilities in a civilian building was targeted. Have you received any apology? Have you received any information about disciplinary action being taken, or that an investigation is underway?
An investigation, yes. We've been informed an investigation is being done. An oral acknowledgement that it come from an Israeli tank. The reasons why not, they have said it could have been a mistake. They will look into, was it a human or a material error? But as I told you, we have had no official report, certainly not a written report back.
How does that make you and your teams feel?
Well, we knew already nowhere is safe, but our staff is traumatized. So I visited them the following day. Even the ambulances during the night didn't feel safe enough to reach the building to be able to get the wounded and the deceased out. So there, luckily, the United Nations, and I really want to thank them, they helped with a convoy for the PRCS ambulances to reach the building. Our staff is traumatized, and they know nowhere is safe. So, but we haven't given up the work. I spoke with them, of course, as general director. I stayed almost 2 weeks with them. We try to mitigate the risk. All our movements are notified to the Israelis. They know where we are working. They know where we are staying. They know what we are doing. So we care for the wounded. That's what we do in several points. We try to work in Al Najjar hospital that you mentioned just earlier in your news stories of the day. But the work is very difficult. The hospitals are overloaded. Hospitals are targeted. They are encircled. Medical staff is being arrested. It's extremely difficult, but we keep on trying to do our work. But what we're doing is too little.
Hey, Meinie, thank you very much for coming and sharing your first-hand experience during your visit to Gaza. Appreciate it.
Thank you.